Thank you for taking the time to join us today. As your corporate insurance partners, we are excited to bring you this important session on effective goal setting and planning. Setting clear goals and creating a strategic plan are essential steps towards achieving both personal and professional success. We are excited to explore practical techniques that will help you turn your aspirations into reality. I would now like to extend a warm welcome to Ms. Mehek Rohira. She is a psychotherapist and corporate wellness trainer with over 5 years of experience. She adopts a client-centric approach and she specializes in working with interpersonal concerns, psychiatric diagnosis, grief, complex trauma, and personal growth. She is also experienced in working with corporate clients, conducting workshops and training programs, support groups, both online and offline. Her work is rooted in safety, compassion, and holistic approach. So without further delay, let's get started. And we will have this session for around 40 odd minutes. In the end, we will have 10 to 15 minutes to address any questions that you may have. Right? Over to you, Mehek.
Thank you so much, Shikha, for the warm welcome. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this session on effective goal setting and planning. Today is going to be a very interactive session. I have some lovely tools for all of you, which we can use personally and professionally to effectively set our goals and achieve them. I would love to hear your insights as well. You all can use the question and answer section to post in any questions you all might have. I will be looking at that regularly. And in case of any interaction, feel free to use the same tab. I will be looking at it while I'm interacting. If any questions are not answered, we can address them in the last 15-20 minutes. Thank you so much. I'll just go ahead and get started. In today's session, we are going to be talking about how to set very clear, achievable goals that are in line with our emotions, how to use a framework that is very popular to set our goals, how to break our goals into steps, how to stay motivated, the most important things, how to adjust our plans if things don't go well, and how to learn from our setbacks as well. Now, let's deep dive right into it. Now, why this topic? Why is it so important to set goals? I would like to hear from you all. Any insights? Why is it important to have goals in your life? What are we without our goals? Feel free to type your answers in the question and answer section. All your answers are completely confidential and anonymous. I will not be taking any names at all. Why are goals important? Goals are important because without them, we have no direction in life. It's like shooting arrows in the dark. Clear goals help us focus, help us stay on the right track, and also help us manage time effectively. Without our goals, we have no structure. We have nothing to look forward to, which is why setting goals is extremely important for all of us, be it personal or professional. In today's session, we'll be addressing some common ways we can achieve both of these goals. But once again, before diving right into that, I would love to hear from all of you. Share one word that represents a goal. Any goal. Just think of one goal you have in mind and just share one word about that goal. For me, that word is health, and I will be using that example going forward. One word from all of you.
Everybody, you can put it in the Q&A tab.
I think they need to be provided access. Jagan?
They have the access for the Q&A tab, Jagan?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Just one word that comes to mind when you think of your goal. It could be health, it could be finances, it could be personal life, anything. One word that comes to your mind. The word I have used is health. I see some answers. Satisfaction, career goal. What else? What else? Health. One more person says health. Just one word. Happiness. Thank you. Thank you so much for interacting. Let's keep these words in mind. Those of you who haven't put your answers in the chat box, keep that one word in mind. I also see support. These are different varieties of goals we have here. Now let's go ahead with the most important thing. What are some of the challenges we face when we're setting goals? And there's a reason I'm starting with this. I'll explain the reason to you all in some time. But what are some challenges you face when you're setting your goals? A big challenge for me is time management. I am not able to manage my time. How about the rest of you? What are some challenges you all face? Feel free to post it in the chat box and we'll be addressing all your challenges today shortly. What are some challenges you face when you set goals? Some of the very simple common challenges that we all face, the biggest is time management. We all say we don't have the time. We don't have the time to work on our health. We don't have the time to be happy. We don't have the time to meet our support system. Another thing is lack of motivation. We know what we want, but we are not motivated to work towards it. A few other challenges are lack of clarity, lack of specificity. We might know what our goal is, an overview, but we are not very specific with it. That's another huge challenge. I see some responses on the chat box as well. Consistency, yes, that's also very important in line with motivation and time management. And first, we need to understand what are our obstacles, what are our challenges before we go ahead and set our goals. So in today's session, we will be addressing all of these challenges and how to overcome them. Let's go ahead to the first point. One might often think, okay, today's session is about goal setting, but why am I talking about emotional connection to your goals, right? But aligning your goals with positive emotions is extremely important because it helps boost motivation and it helps you stay very committed to your goals. So if I were to ask you, keep that one goal you have in mind. As I have seen from the responses, happiness, support, mine was health. How does the current goal make you feel? Just think about it. If you're comfortable, feel free to put that on the chat box. What does the current goal make you feel? For me, it makes me feel a bit scared. How does your current goal make you feel? Free to type in your responses on the chat box. Could be happy, it could be excited, it could be scared. And the more specific we get, the better it is for us. I have a lovely exercise for all of you, which is to map your emotions. Let's look at this emotions wheel. It's a lovely tool that all of our psychologists use with all of our clients to work on our emotions. Let's look at this wheel and focus on that previous goal. And let's map the emotions you feel when you think of this goal. Is it happiness? Is it surprise? Is it optimism? It could also be the left side ones, which are not so pleasant. It could be anxiety, rejection, guilt, boredom as well. Let's name some of these words, right? For me, when I think about health, I feel a mix of scared, anxious, but also optimistic and peaceful. How about you all? What do you all feel? What emotions do you feel when you think of this goal? Feel free to type in your answers in the chat. I see some words. I see anger. How about the others? What do you feel when you think of this goal? And all your answers are completely confidential. Some of us feel proud, some of us feel excited, confused. Yes, I see some other responses as well. Now, the purpose of this is that our emotions need to be positive to achieve this goal. If we feel anger, if we feel confusion, if we feel fear and anxiety, we will not be motivated to work towards our goal. So our focus should be to reframe the way we look at the goal. For example, if it's health, it is scary for me to work on my health. It is very anxiety provoking that, okay, I need to do XYZ things in my busy schedule to work on my health. But I need to reframe those emotions and look at the positive side of the wheel. That if I achieve my goals of good health, I will be happy. I will be peaceful. I will be joyful. And I will also be proud of myself. So whichever goal that you have in mind, let's associate it with positive emotions. Because that is something that would influence your commitment towards your goal. If you feel anger, you won't feel committed. You might not work towards it. Let's reframe those emotions into some positive emotions. Keep that in mind before we just go ahead to the next section. Now that we've seen how emotions are connected to goals, there's this lovely framework that works wonders when you're setting goals. We've discussed what goals are, why they're important, the role of our emotions, but the real question is, how do we set these goals and achieve them? How many of you have heard of the SMART framework? Feel free to type in a yes or no on the chat box. It's a very popular framework. I will be walking you all through this today with some examples. I see some yeses, I see some no's. Perfect. This is very popular in leadership training as well, in management training. If any of you all have been to management schools, it's a very popular framework that is evidence-based and it really does work. I see another yes as well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Now, the goal in life, whether it's personal or professional goals, is for them to be SMART. Just keep that acronym in mind, SMART goals. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I'll explain this with the help of an example. I think that will be far more easier. I started with talking about, okay, I want to focus on my health. I want to be healthier. But that's such a vague goal. How do I start working towards that? Let's look at how I can break that down as per the SMART framework. Let's get very specific. For example, I want to improve my physical fitness with exercise. Or I want to improve my physical fitness with good nutrition or with good sleep. We have to get specific. Otherwise, our goals are so vague. The M of it, how do we make it measurable? An example for this. Exercise 30 minutes a day for 3 days a week. Or it could be whatever suits your schedule. Go for a walk for 15 minutes a day, but 5 days a week. That is measurable and also something that's very achievable. We cannot suddenly go and say, okay, I am going to do it every day for 5 hours a day. That is something that is very unrealistic. How do we make it achievable? By starting one day at a time and keeping it very small and limited. The R of it is how to keep it relevant. The goal should be relevant to what I really want. For example, how is this relevant? If I do go for a walk or if I do exercise, it will boost my energy levels and it will improve my health. That's how we make it relevant. How do we make it time bound? By aiming to establish this routine over 2 months. Once we go through this cycle, we do an assessment after 2 months. Okay, did this work? Did this not work? Was I able to exercise 30 minutes a day for 3 days a week? If not, why was I not able? And that's when we reassess our goals. And that's when we can edit our goals and again create a new SMART framework. But the goal is to fit it into this framework, because without such frameworks, the goals are very, very vague. Now, some of you have spoken about some of your goals above, which has been happiness, satisfaction, health for some of you too. Let's take 1 or 2 minutes for you all to convert your personal goal into the SMART frame. Take a minute or two, and if you are comfortable, post it on the chat box if you need any help. And if you're comfortable sharing your goal, post that in the Q&A section and I will help you convert this goal into a SMART goal. Take a minute or two. Let's make it as specific as possible. If it's finances, let's make it specific. I want to save 1,000 every month, right? Let's make it very measurable, very achievable. We cannot, if it's 1,000, we cannot save 1 lakh rupees a month. Let's make it very achievable, very relevant as well. Saving 1,000 rupees a month at the end of the year amounts to 12,000, which is a good amount saved and time bound. We can make it 6 months. After 6 months, we can do a check, assess our progress, and see how to proceed with the goal. Take a minute or two. Yes, I just took an example of finance, budget, and savings, and someone just happened to post that on the chat box too. As per your appetite, as per your spending capacity, some of you may have different commitments, some of you may be able to save more. So it has to be very achievable and relevant to your lifestyle. Maybe some of us are able to save 5,000 a week as well. So we have to reflect and think for ourselves, how do we do that? How do we hold ourselves accountable? If we just say, okay, I want to save money, it never happens. I think we've all been there. I want to save money, I want to invest, but it gets very difficult. Let's create this framework either on a paper or an Excel sheet and fill in those gaps and numbers. I hope that helped with the finance budget/savings question in the Q&A section. Anyone else, would you like me to help you all convert your personal goal into a SMART goal? One more. I think we have time for another. Build my skills in the next 6 months. That's a good one. How do we make this specific? What skills? Right? Is it communication skills? Is it technical skills? Is it time management skills? Right? So let's take an example. It's technical skills. Right? What technical skill? Is it software development? Is it coding? Or something related to your job? Let's get to that very specific. Then let's make it measurable. Maybe there's a course that you can sign up for, right? Either on Udemy or Coursera, or there are many of these open learning platforms such as Khan Academy, or even on YouTube. Right? YouTube also has a lot of learning tools. Then we get measurable. I will watch this content of this course every week for 1 hour. That's achievable. We cannot probably do a course every day because you all are working professionals and we cannot remove so much time. Is it relevant? The skill that you've chosen, is it relevant to your personal goal? If you are in the soft field and you want to say work on budgeting, which may not help you in your professional journey, then that's not relevant. Hence, that goal needs to be very relevant and time bound. Maybe the course is 6 months. Let's sign up for that course. After 6 months, we assess, okay, have my skills improved in this? Have I achieved my goal? That's one way to convert it to a SMART goal. I hope that helped. I will take more questions and help the rest of you too when we have more time post the end of it. But before that, on the point of I want to build my skills, I want to talk about a very, very relevant section here. To break down large goals into smaller goals. Large goals can be very, very overwhelming. If you take the example of I want to build my skills, or my example of I want to work on my health, there's so much we can do. There's physical health, nutrition, sleep. There's a lot. Eye health, skin health, even in skills. There are so many skills to learn. But we cannot climb the mountain in a day. We cannot aim for all of these at once, right? We have to break it down. We have to figure out ways to prioritize. Right? Similar to the health example I took, I chose to prioritize physical health by exercising instead of focusing on nutrition. Once I'm able to achieve that, I can go to the next stage. Let's break that mountain into smaller mountains, the large goal into smaller goals. Because otherwise, it's extremely overwhelming to even start the journey. Okay? And let's try to stay prioritized. Now, if I were to ask all of you, do you sometimes struggle with prioritizing your tasks? And I also have a question, how to complete a project within the timeline? What tools can I use? I have a tool exactly after this to help you all with time management and prioritizing. But would just like to hear from some of you. Do you sometimes struggle with prioritization, time management, etc.? I see some yeses. There are a couple of more yeses. Even I do. Definitely I do. There is one tool for this, and it's something that I honestly use on a weekly basis. Some of us have so many things to do. We make to-do lists, and we get lost in it. We don't know where to prioritize. So the more, step one is to get specific. Step two is to prioritize. This is something that's called a decision-making matrix, the Eisenhower decision-making matrix. If you all are on a laptop or you all have a pen and paper in front of you, feel free to create this for yourself and fill it out. Our goal is to focus on the things that are urgent and important. For example, I had a question about how to complete the project within the timeline. Let's focus on what's urgent and important. Let's break it down. If it's urgent and not important, delegate. Let's pass it on to someone else. If it's not urgent, but it's still important, push it to later. Push it to next week. Schedule a time when you can do it. And if it's not at all urgent and not at all important, we completely delete it. Completely. What often happens is we all get caught up in this last one. Things that are not urgent and not important. In our mind, there are so many thoughts and so many things to do that we're not able to streamline our thoughts. We think all of these things are important, but all of these things are not. The key to effective time management, goal setting, and planning is to get as specific as possible, which requires some practice and thinking, and then delegating and managing your time through tools like this. And focusing on the now. What can I do today? What is most important today? And matrices such as these are extremely helpful. Again, I would request all of you take a minute or two to fill out this matrix for yourself. Think about what's on your agenda, your to-do list. We've thought about some specifics. If you haven't, let's think about it now. Let's fill this out. I can guarantee you all will at least find 3 to 4 things that you all can delete from your list, or 3 to 4 things that you can schedule for later. Sab kuch aaj nahi karna. That's just something I would like to put forward. Any thoughts, any questions about this matrix? Taking more questions in the Q&A about more time management and other tools if you may need help with the same. Finally, the most important bit, we often lose motivation. We know the tools, we know these matrices, we know about SMART goals, but somewhere along, we are just not motivated anymore. That fire that was there within us goes away. Maybe right now you all are fired up. Okay, I've attended a goal setting session. I've learned about SMART goals. I'm going to make this table. But maybe after a few days or a few weeks, we just don't feel like doing it. And that's very natural. That happens to all of us. It's completely natural. But here I am to help you all with some ways we can continue staying motivated. But before I do that, before I explain these pointers, I would like to hear from you all. What keeps you motivated? It can be different for different people. I have some common rules, but would love to hear from you all. When you lose motivation, how do you keep pushing and how do you keep going? Any answers are welcome in the chat box. How does this team stay motivated to achieve their goals? You know your goals, you know the specifics now, you know how to manage your time. How do we make sure there's enough petrol in the car to keep going? At some point, petrol and the diesel runs out. That's only natural. Every car needs petrol, diesel. Today, you all are full of petrol and diesel because we've attended this session and it's fresh, right? The car has just gone for servicing and everything is new and shiny. After some time, petrol gets old. How do we refuel? That's what motivation is, the fuel that keeps you going. I want to hear from you all. This is the most important bit of goal setting. You can have all the tools, but if you're not motivated, it will not happen. What is your fuel? And I have a few points on how we can reason. Any thoughts? I have a couple of more questions. Rest assured, I will answer them towards the end of the session. So the biggest way to continue staying motivated is to keep giving yourself positive reminders. In the beginning, we discussed aligning goals with emotions. More important than the goal is the emotion. If I don't feel happiness when I think about my health, I will not work towards that goal. Taking the example of finances and budgeting, if I don't feel that joy towards working towards that goal, I will not do it. And the most beautiful way to do it is visualization. Visualize how you will feel when you have already achieved the goal. Just imagine that you have the best of health. You are in extremely good financial conditions and you have all the freedom possible in the world. Or you have a great support system. When you visualize this and when you feel that happiness, then when you come back to the present moment, that will motivate you. You need to know what you're fighting for, right? You need to know where the car is going to even fill the fuel. So if your destination is Mumbai or New Delhi, you need to visualize that destination to keep reminding you. If my destination is good health, I need to visualize it to keep motivating. I need to keep affirming myself. I need to keep telling myself, this is important. Positive reminders, visualizations. Another thing is to surround yourself in an environment that motivates you. Reminders in the sense, make sure that your room has little reminders. For example, your phone wallpaper, your laptop wallpaper. Say if you have a whiteboard or a desk, make sure everywhere there are small visual reminders or positive affirmations that encourage you to work towards your goal. If you spend time on social media a lot, make sure that you follow pages which are constantly posting very positive, affirming content that inspires you. If you are surrounded by people, make sure you tell them your goals so that even they motivate you to achieve your goals. So your environment can also be a very big factor in making you stay motivated. Another point which we don't discuss all that much is rewards. Whatever said and done, if you are setting a goal for 6 months and working towards it, you need to give yourself a reward. So if I have exercised for say 3 months straight, I can give myself a small reward by saying, buying myself something really small, or going for dinner to a favorite place of mine so that I stay motivated. So whatever your goal is, when you are close to achieving it, give yourself small rewards. It doesn't mean the reward has to be very big. It can be a very small reward. It can be a cup of coffee from your favorite place as well. But give yourself those rewards. Acknowledge that you're doing well. Give yourself that pat on the back. In school, when we would do well, our teachers would give us a pat on the back and they would give us a smiley face. That's what adults also need. But we don't do that anymore. Right? So you need to give yourself that smiley face. You give yourself those small, many rewards and those small, positive, encouraging words. These are some ways to stay motivated. And of course, regularly checking your progress and adjusting when needed. I hope this has helped some of you with a few tools to stay motivated. And we will answer more questions at the end of the session. I also see more responses on the chat box. And finally, let's look at the big picture. And I think sometimes with setting goals, we get so caught up in the small picture, right? For example, if for 3 months you have worked on your goal of exercising or saving that certain amount, and 1 week you don't do it, we fall, right? We think, okay, the sky has fallen, I've completely lost motivation, there's no point of doing this. But look at the big picture, look at the graph, right? It's always an upward curve. These up downs in the graph are very natural. If you take a step back, overall the curve is big. And it's only when you fall that you learn, you change your strategy, right? Maybe it is the fact that I had a craving a certain day, or it's the fact that it was raining, which is why I may not be able to go for an exercise. Or if it's about saving your finances, maybe that month there were a lot of festivities, which is why we were not able to save that amount. It's okay. Sometimes we have to be a little flexible also. Right? Sometimes we have to understand that there will be circumstances in life. It's okay. Just because we have paused doesn't mean it's a stop button. It's a pause button, like it is on a TV remote. We unpause. We don't have to stop. And we don't have to rewind either. We pause and restart exactly like you do it with a movie. We don't have to switch off the movie. So all setbacks are learning opportunities. Don't see it as a failure. Everything is a lesson learned. And the biggest thing is be flexible. With goal setting, with time management, flexibility is the biggest thing because there are many factors that are out of our control. That's something I would like to share with all of you. Finally, we're almost towards the end of the session. And I see a lot more questions. We'll just get the Q&A, everybody. Just want to end by saying a goal without a plan is just a wish. We have a lot of wishes. We all dream a lot, right? Daydream, night dream. I think we all create a very lovely imaginary world in our head. But we have to make plans. Put it on paper, Excel sheet it, write it out, create a journal. But once we set those goals, that's when we start achieving them. And that's when we start feeling even happier and even more fulfilled. Thanks, everyone. We have time for the Q&A. I will start answering the previous questions I've missed out. And everyone else, feel free to type in your questions. I'm going to start from the top. And I'll go ahead and answer the questions one by one. I see a question around the specific skills. There was somebody who said, I want to build my skills. That for this, we need to know what skill I need. Completely agree, which is where the specificity comes in and the relevance comes in. Let's reflect for your role, for your profession, for your age, what is the most relevant skill that is there and which is the most helpful skill that is there. So doing a bit more of reading, talking to people around you would really help. And also what is in line with your interest. If your interest is not there in a certain skill or topic, then you will not be motivated also to work towards it. And again, with skill building, it takes time. Once we do that one skill, once we master it, we have to practice it also. I think I have received a response, documentation and written language. In that case, if you do have colleagues who can do with documentation, again, there are a lot of tools, Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, simple Word, or even simple pen and paper, right? Simple keeping a journal. The specific goal can be at the end of every day, I will make sure that my documents are in order, or at the end of every week. Once you start practicing that, you will get much better at it. Your language will also get better, right? If there's any particular language skills we need to work on, while you can simultaneously do a course, it's only when you start practicing it or talking to people in that language is when you will get even more perfect at it. So let's practice, let's get more specific with the goals, and let's start, would be my advice. I hope that helps you. If there are any other questions, feel free to put that in the chat box. I see another question, how to complete the project within the timeline? What tools can I use? I think the Eisenhower tool is really helpful here. There are some other time management hacks, and I will call them hacks because they are very subjective and might not work for everyone. There's a lovely technique which is called the Pomodoro technique. I don't know how many of you have heard of this. First things with completion of project within timeline, more than tools, it's about reducing distractions. Keep your phone aside. I think social media and the cell phone is a huge part of why we are so distracted these days and we cannot do things on time. Phone, just keep it upside down or keep it somewhere away from you. Even right now, maybe some of us have our phones right within arm's reach, right? Let's make sure it's a little away. Secondly, if there are notifications, let's pause that. Okay? And there's something called the Pomodoro technique, which is about doing 20 to 25 minutes of deep work. What deep work means is that in that moment, you don't do anything else. You're completely engrossed. And the quality that you achieve in that 20-25 minutes is far more than you might do in 1 or 2 hours. For that, it requires no distractions, mute all notifications. Before you start, maybe drink some water, take some deep breaths, set the timer, then you start 20 to 25 minutes, then the alarm goes off, then 5 minutes you take a break. In that break, you can go for a walk, you can drink some water, look outside the window, but no using your phone. Then repeat the 20-minute cycle. Then take a 5-minute break. You can do this cycle maybe 2 times or 3 times as per your personal capacity. But after 2-3 cycles, you stop. Because after that, of course, you need to see your notifications, you need to check your emails, and you need to see your phone. 2-3 cycles is something that works. Another suggestion would be to do the most difficult tasks in the first half of the day. Some of us might not be morning people, and some of us might think we are more productive in the second half or late at night. But biologically, that is not true for our brain, because it's found that our brain is most active when the sun is up in the sky. Often what we do is, let's start with the easy task, finish the easy task, I'll do the most difficult one at the end of the day when I have time and energy. But what you're not realizing is in that 5-6 hours, your brain has already used a lot of energy. So if your brain has 5 bars of battery to do work, and the best recharge is sleep, If your brain has already used 3 bars of battery by the time you're at 4, 5 o'clock, when you've pushed your most important task, while you may not feel like doing it in the first half, push yourself to do it because that's when your brain battery is at its maximum. That's another suggestion. Few hacks to complete projects within timelines. Hope that was helpful too. Another question. Sometimes I feel demotivated at the workplace. How will I carry myself at that time? I think this is a little bit about workplace motivation. There could be a lot of things that might not motivate you. Let's figure out what that is first. Is it that we don't have friends? Is it that we don't like the work? And once we know what that is, we can slowly work towards it. The days you are motivated, remember why you're here. Visualization is the most beautiful thing to do. At any workplace, you are either there to learn skills, to grow, and of course, to also grow financially. These are the top 3 reasons why people work: personal growth, professional growth, financial growth. So in one of these 3 buckets is where all of you will fall, and maybe all 3, right? Sometimes it will just be one bucket. Sometimes maybe it is just financial growth. Sometimes maybe it's just personal growth. The days you're demotivated, once again, remember what you're fighting for. Remember why you're here and visualize that, right? Close your eyes, visualize if it is personal growth, that level of personal growth that you have already achieved. And then when you come back to the moment, you'll remember, okay, that's what I'm fighting for, right? It's the same thing if you're driving from Mumbai to Delhi. It's a very long drive, right? Many obstacles on the way. But if you close your eyes and visualize Delhi, okay, there are beautiful places to see. I want to go here. I want to go here. You'll be 100 kilometers away, but you will know, okay, I have the energy to keep going. Because you're thinking of those 10 places in Delhi you want to visit. That's why visualization is a beautiful tool. Even Googling things, putting pictures up, visual reminders is really helpful. These are some things I would suggest for demotivation at the workplace. I hope that was also helpful. And once again, it would help what exactly is demotivating you. Any other questions? Please feel free to add your questions in the Q&A section. Again, everything is completely anonymous and we will not be taking any names at all. About goal setting, time management, planning, staying motivated. These are not easy things, and today was just a short teaser and a session to help equip you all with some tools. It is a journey and there are hurdles on the way, but there are definitely ways to get past those hurdles. And if there are any hurdles or questions you all might want to ask in the chat box, please feel free. I'm just checking on if I've missed out any questions. And we still have a bit of time. Feel free to ask your questions, any doubts, any additional tools or suggestions you all would want, any other hacks that might support you all through your workday or your personal day.
Mehek, we have a question. How to prioritize the tasks?
Yes. So there are a lot of tasks we have on a daily basis. Personal, professional, it's a mix of all, right? I think the best way is to make that list of what are the tasks and use the matrix that I had previously shown. Often when there are too many tasks, our mind gets overwhelmed. You know, actually, while we all might be adults over here, in terms of age, our brains are still very, very much primitive. Right? So if you give a child 100 things to do, you see children shut down. Right? They just say, okay, cannot do so much. Physically and biologically, we are older, and it seems like we should be able to handle it, but our brains are not built to handle so many things. So in that case, when we have a lot of tasks, put it out there on paper or Excel or any documentation tool. Document those tasks. And then let's remove the things that are not important. If you look at that list, it will be very overwhelming. And that is very natural. Do not shame yourself for it. It's very natural. But when we prioritize using matrices such as these, what is urgent, not important. Let's focus on that. What is not, delegate, give it to someone else if you can. There's someone at home to help with personal errands, give it to them. It's not urgent, schedule it for next week, add it to your calendar. Delete the things that are not important. Sometimes there will be things you may think are important, but are really not. And today we have these wonderful tools such as the internet, calendar system, Google calendars, personal calendars, reminders. One might think this helps us get more organized, but sometimes this overwhelms us. Okay. So much extra information. Keep it simple. Don't use too many tools, right? Don't overclutter. There's a lot of digital clutter these days, a lot on social media, on email, YouTube, so much news. Let's declutter digitally, declutter physically, and just focus on these urgent, important things. Once you start decluttering, prioritization gets easier. And once you start using matrices like these, you can keep a separate personal and a separate professional in case you want to compartmentalize, right? So that your mind is also at peace. This is separate, this is separate. Because then the overlap can also get a lot. I would suggest every Sunday or a Monday morning, you can create this matrix. And if there's something pending from the last week, say in the matrix, then you can add it to the next week matrix. These are some ways to prioritize tasks. Could you provide examples of how setting clear goals has led to success in your own experience or case studies? Most definitely. Most definitely. I take personal therapy sessions and I take workshops and trainings such as these. Let's take an example of the SMART goal. I can go back here. Sorry. Let's take an example of professional growth, right? And a case study. Also, a lot of managers who I've worked with on these SMART goals, right? Skill you want to improve. The skill I wanted to improve was my therapy skills. Now, what are therapy skills? You might think it's just talking to people, but there are different techniques, such as learning about trauma or learning about family therapy, couples therapy. Right? So, getting more specific really helped me. Or say if it's working with anxiety, working with depression, right? I would also tell my supervisor that no, but I want to take new types of clients. I want to do different kinds of clients. But she would always ask me, but different is what? There's so many out there. You think, do you want to take couples, family? Do you want to take people coming with complex trauma? Choose one. I wanted to do everything at one time. I said, no, let's pick one. Right? I chose trauma because my interest was there in that trauma and grief. As Mrs. Shikha had mentioned in the beginning, I specialize in trauma and grief too. That was over a period of time. And this may connect with someone's question up about skills as well. I chose that one skill. I did reading, I did short courses in them. I set these SMART goals. The overall goal was I want to improve therapy skills. Then specific, I want to become better in trauma-informed therapy. Measurable, that I will read 2 papers every week on trauma-informed therapy. Or I will do half an hour of the course every week. And I signed up for a short course on Udemy. Achievable, half an hour is very achievable a week. We spend a lot of time watching content anyway. It was just watching things. While walking or in public transport, I would watch. It is relevant to my practice and it was time bound. I finished the course in 3 months. After 3 months, I checked in with my supervisor. I started taking more trauma cases. And then the cycle has continued. I've continued further training. And it's been years. And now I myself specialize and I can train people for trauma. So that was a cycle for me. And the same is applicable to all of you in your roles. If you are a software developer, UI UX designer, finance, accountant, any role at all. There's a lot of specifics that only you know about in your role, which I am not privy to, and I don't have the knowledge. If you want to grow, and in any case study, in any corporate, if you look at the growth ladder, everyone starts with being specific and being trained in that one aspect, then master it, then go on to the second. After that, I started couples counseling. It was not possible for me to do both together. I'm still on my journey of couples counseling. I'm still not the best at it, and I'm still doing the course. But if I were to do everything at one time, it would not be possible because you're only human. And the mountain is very big to climb, but one small mountain at a time. So I'm sure all of you have a lot of goals to achieve, a lot of mountains to climb. We all want to go up the ladder. Think about your role. What is relevant to your role? What skills are relevant? Choose that one or two skills if you have the time, and then work on it. Again, it doesn't have to be a course. You can be self-taught. You can observe. You can find mentors as well. But this is usually how most case studies look in any professional setting, has also been my observation. Hope that is helpful. I think we have time for one more question. If anyone would like to go for a quick one. How important is it to regularly review and adjust your goals every 2-3 months, right? Not too often. If you do every 1-2 weeks, that's too soon. Then you'll start overthinking and you micromanage. That's too soon. At least give yourself 1 to 3 months to settle in, right? 2 to 3 is a good time. And what's the best way to do it? Always are good ways. See, when you have it written down and when you have it specific, such as say saving 1,000 rupees a week or every 15 days, you will tangibly check either in your bank account or through hand whether you have saved it or not. If it's intangible things such as skills, say communication skills, then you can do a reflective qualitative review. Okay, 3 months ago, my language skills were XYZ. Today, how do I think my language skills are? So there are reflective questions available. You can use tools like ChatGPT. Okay, help me with reflective questions to assess my language skills on X topic. They'll be simple qualitative questions. Sometimes you cannot quantify. Like here, this is quantified, 1,000 rupees, 2,000. Sometimes it's a qualitative assessment. In that case, we reflect and we provide our own qualitative assessment or ask the people around you for a qualitative assessment. Family, friends, colleagues is what I would suggest. So just keeping that difference in qualitative, quantitative, both are good ways to go about. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mehek, for leading this session. Thank you, everybody, for participating in today's session on effective goal setting and planning. We hope you are leaving with practical tools and inspiration to set and achieve your goals with greater clarity and purpose. Remember, the path to success starts with well-defined plans. So wishing you all the best in your journey ahead, planning, things so that you can accomplish the goals that you are setting out for yourself. All right, everybody, enjoy your day ahead. Thank you so much, Mehek. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely day. Hope this was helpful. Thank you.